popularly known as a stand-up comedian. So,
Yes, yes.
what is comedy to you?
Comedy is everything because most importantly, right now, the tension in Nigeria is so high that without humor, a lot of people would have been far more depressed and suicidal. So humor is that part of our lives that just takes us away from the pain and the hardships that we go through sometimes. So for me, if not for comedy, perhaps I would have been like any of those young people who easily get frustrated. And being a comedian, you are on the precipice of either taking society down or bringing society up. Because if as a comedian you are going through some downtime and you let it reflect in your life, you take a lot of people along with you. But comedians have been known to withhold their own pain and express joy to others to lift them up. So being a comedian for me is everything. I would rather have been a comedian than just being a musician or just being an actor. But being a comedian allows me to embody a lot of other elements as an actor, as a singer, as a writer, as a producer, director, father, husband, and everything. So being a comedian is a lot more fulfilling because it allows you to be everybody's friend. You express joy. The moment you walk into a room, people don't care if you have any of your own problems. If John Okafor walks in here now, Mr. Ibu, you don't want to know if he's having running stomach. You just want to see him and then you smile like, this year man drop come. So that's the way it is. The moment a comedian walks in the room, if Gordon walks in now, you just say, hallelujah. You don't want to know if Gordon has headache. If Bobby walks into the room now, you just look at him like, this guy. So that's what comedy does for us. It allows us be the light that comes into the room and gives hope to a lot of people. A lot of people would have called me to say, man, I was watching your program when I was on the hospital bed and it really helped me. Sometimes doctors will tell you, just relax. You need to tension off. Watch a lot of funny programs. And then comedy helps to relieve a lot of stress.
First performing at the Night of a Thousand Laugh in your first performance in 2003. Um, how did you feel coming on stage? Were you fully prepared for this?
Yeah, as at the time in 2003, I didn't even want to go for Night of a Thousand Laughs. I've always been a man who believed in his own path. I don't believe in the general perception of this is how everybody must be. Even till date, I still don't follow the crowd. I believe in laying my own tracks. So at the time, the only reason why I went for that Night of a Thousand Laughs audition was because my girlfriend then, now my wife, had said, just go so that these your friends will know that, man, you're worth your salt. And then I went, we were 34 who auditioned. And I was one of the only four that qualified. And out of the four that qualified, I was the only guy that was practically unknown at the time by Upper Williams. It was just amazing, like, who is this guy? I just went to do it to prove a point. So on show day itself, when the show started, out of the newbies that came on stage, I was the only one who had been impressive enough at the first showing because the others messed up and Upper said, I don't want new comedians at the second show. And I left. Only for me to hear that they were looking for me at the second show. So where that Koffi guy, at least now only him perform for the first show. Where? But I had left. So for me, it was not a time to be jittery. I was already prepared. As far back as 99, 2000, I was already getting paid as a comedian in school. So by 2003, I had made my bones. I was already appearing on other people's shows before even Night of a Thousand Laughs. So it was nothing to. In fact, I had done big at the Castle at Sheraton at that time. Had done one or two other gigs that were quite, standard at the time. So.
How has comedy disseminated crucial information about current happenings in Nigeria to the audience?
Constantly, that's what comedians do. Disseminate information through the art of humor. I do that a lot. In fact, I think I had a bit of a setback in my own career advancement because I'm always topical with my humor. I don't just want to ride on watery banter. I want to inform you. And sometimes you find out that the audience is not ready for that. They just want junk yard humor. And I don't do junk yard humor. I like you to leave after the performance and reflect on the things I have said. I want you to think about it the way I have thought about it. It's like reading a book Okay, you should watch me perform and then feel like you bought a book, you paid your gate fee, and you left with something. So comedians should be able to do that constantly. A few of us balance it that way. I can, count my fingers on the number of comedians who can do that. And I noticed that a lot of young comedians now are getting encouraged in that path. I knew this was the future. As at the time I started out, my brother-in-law one day looked at me and said, why do you perform like a lecturer trying to... I said, that's the future. A lot of Nigerians will not buy into it now. But in the future, this is going to be the standard for humor. You must be able to carry people along with information. And now that everybody is a journalist, it is more difficult for you to want to perform without passing information because they will get that information elsewhere. So if you don't also give them information in what you're doing, then you're not necessary. Okay, so everything we do, we must at least try to develop somebody more than they were previously developed. If what they knew was limited to this point, you must take it to the next level. Okay, I want to talk about Ronaldo, Messi. But at the same time, I must talk about the borders that have been closed. I must be able to say, so as I'm talking my humor, I should be giving them information to the best of my ability. Maybe perhaps I'm improving their own thoughts and processes. And then that way, the next time they hear I'm going to be performing somewhere, they're looking forward to the new information I'm bringing.
You're going to disseminate.
Because they are also hustling day in, day out. They might not have all the time to get all the information they need. So if they get a bit from radio, a bit from their social media, and a bit from you, it becomes a round thing, and then it's more fulfilling that way. So you must be informed as a comedian to be able to disseminate information.
Okay. Nigerian government has shown a lot of non-interest in our people for some couple of years now. And how do you think comedy industry can intervene and wake the consciousness of people?
No, forget it. Our government is no longer conscious of anything. Most especially not from entertainment. The government does not see entertainment as a viable tool to move the economy forward. So what you don't see as being pragmatic or important to you will not be worthy of listening to. Okay, because if government pays attention to what entertainment and entertainers do, a lot of the movies and songs that have come out of this country would have changed the mindset and the direction of the government till date. A lot of comedians have said a lot. Agodai has constantly bashed the government on his page. The Don is presently on a campaign. I have done songs and videos and done memes and things to attract the consciousness of the government. Everybody has done one thing or the other to just make government see the realities of ground. But they don't see, they don't want to see because the nonchalant attitude of the polity is way above the responsibilities bequeathed upon them. Sorry, I'm speaking so much, Brahma. But the reality is they will never see beyond their own capacity because if you are more learned than the person you're trying to orientate, they can never get it even after they graduate. So it's about the capacity of the people you are talking to. Do they have the mental capacity to understand where you are going and where you're coming from? Every day, Alibaba posts stuff to consciously wake up government officials. They go to his page, they wake up to it, they read it, they see it, but they reject it. So we're just all in a rat race, trying to make ends meet. And the person who has gotten the bigger slice of the cake will not consider the person trying to pinch as relevant enough to tell them how to run the affairs of the bakery because they are already getting the bigger chunk.
Which of the sector in Nigeria do you think is not active? Like the agricultural sector, the economic, the infrastructure sector?
No sector is working. I've considered relocating as well because for me it's sad enough. If one sector was, not working, I understand, but every sector, as in every day one other sector crumbles. The telecommunications is not working, entertainment is not working. Every entertainer in this country is hustling. No matter how much they paint rosy pictures on Instagram and look so good and all that, everybody is hustling. See Basket Mouth's last show. See the campaign he was running day in, day out, just to fill up the hall. In Advanced Climbs, Kevin Hart just has to post once on his timeline that my show is so and so day. Trevor Noah just has to mention it once on the Daily Show that, okay, so I'm coming to so and so on so and so date. And they play, as we speak, If you go and check certain cities, Chris Brown's tickets have been sold out for 2020, end of 2020. But we're still in these climes where I have to constantly be begging people, please buy my ticket. I have a show on Friday. I'm having to advertise every day to say, please, I need just 100 people to come for this get together. It's a shame because the system is not structured and it's not working. Everybody, see, transportation is dead. This is 2019. We're having tankers falling on the road. We're having bad roads during the rainy season. Dry season, everybody sits back and they flange. Then they wait for the rains to now start constructing roads during the rainy season. It shows the mental of the people in charge. It is crazy. You look at football that used to be a solace. It is dead. The NFF is killing football. The petroleum sector. Look at what comes in and goes out. Look at the labor union. Look at what they are doing. We're discussing minimum wages in 2019, and then you calculate the minimum wage, you compare it to the previous minimum wage as against the price of fuel, you find out that it's still the same rate. If you were collecting 18k then and you were buying fuel at 87 naira, and then you're collecting 30k now and you're buying fuel at 145, you're still collecting the same money. Somebody who in 1982 was getting X amount as a civil servant is now a pauper in 2019, as compared to. So, no sector is working. There's no government official that will come out and confidently say, this and this is what we have done. They can't. The only thing that seems like, okay, we're getting close to making sense is closing the border. But then, things are still coming in through Kurukere way, Appian way. So nothing is working. How can we have a nation that has capacity to generate electricity and generators at the order of the day? Even when you're using solar system, sun self no break up. Say, I can't go here.
What an oxymoron.
So it's crazy that the little things that should work in the place for the common man to not even see government before problems is not working because government itself is not making it work.
Okay.
So nothing is working.
What do you think the government and the people should do concerning this inactivity of the government?
To be honest with you, I have thought this through over and over again. The basic thing that we need to do is for every parent to find the time within themselves to start to reorientate themselves and their children and the next generation. Let me explain. Education is the bane of our destruction. The non-education. From the days the military killed our educational apparatus, everything started to dwindle down. Most of the people who are in the helms of affairs are not educated enough to even think it straight that these and they are the things that we need to put in place. They see things happening in foreign countries. They watch, if you go to their offices, they have about 3-4 television sets on Sky News, on BBC, on CNN constantly. They are aware of everything happening across the globe, but they have chosen not to. Not because one guy doesn't want to, but because that one guy is intelligent enough, but around him are psychophants and idiots who grew up in places where they cannot go above that mental. Now we have a shaku generation now that is less informed and educated. And in the next 15 years will be in the hands of affairs. So if those are not educated and they get into power, imagine the chaos ahead of us. Now their younger ones are looking at them, celebrating vanity and money. So imagine what is going to happen in the next 30 years. So right now, what we now need to do is to start reorientating those small ones. Go back to the basics and start changing the educational curriculum. History is no longer being taught in our schools. The basic things, social studies, moral instruction, all those little things that at the time might look like it is mundane, but in the long run, it's actually helping the psyche of the child, is what helped us, my generation. There's no matter how far you go away from home, there's something always connecting you back to responsibility. But right now, everybody's representing their family thought and process on social media. The way you reflect on social media is a reflection of your family. If you check my page on social media, I will not post things that my parents will not be proud of.
Hmm.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because something is telling me that this is not how I was brought up. But if you see some other person's page, you can tell from the way they were brought up. Now, sometimes you check the comment section on social media, you see that Nigerian youth have totally lost direction. So that is what we need to do, a reorientation and education from the get-go. We have already lost these ones. Forget it. There's nothing you can do to the Naira Marley, Wizkid, Davido generation. They are gone. There's nothing you can do. Because the moment you try to tell them that it is wrong for you to spend so much on voting for somebody in a reality show than voting to help your future, they will shut you down as being an idiot because you have not been posting vanity. It is by your vanity that they have affiliate you with success. And if you don't post that you have a Lamborghini or a car in Banana Island, then you are not making it. So they translate success to be financial cash on the table. That's what you see.
Physical things.
But they don't translate cash to mean relationships with people. They don't know that money is relationship.
And talking.
This is money now. They don't know that this is money. They feel money is cash on the table. They don't know that's printed paper. So you need to now go and reorientate those ones that money is deed stored in other people in advance for use and withdrawal in future. You can reach that person in future and because alright, I need you to do me a favor. They won't charge you because you've already sold into them. Cash is printed paper. If it tears, you're done. But if you had invested that paper in somebody else, then you're good. In future, I can call you Brule and say, bro, I need something. Boss, I remember when I was coming up, you helped me a lot. I'll do that for you. That is money. So we need to reorientate the young generation that please, this is the way of life. And this is how you become peaceful. You will not need to be pursuing to show people that you have made it. We don't need all these big cars on our road. We don't need all this. You see somebody, 24 properties seized, 24 houses, and I'm thinking, 24 houses, go check, out of those 24 houses, 20 are empty. And we have people all over town looking for somewhere to sleep. So the vanity mentality needs to be crushed if we must move forward. It is not the job of the government. It is the job of every parent. You might have been impregnated and abandoned, but it does not mean you should abandon your child as well. You might be a single parent. It doesn't mean your child has to grow up single. You know, those are the things that we're supposed to do. We're supposed to have orientation programs on radio constantly. Rhythm FM would always play Be Fair to Other Road Users. There was a time they were doing ACE campaign. Now they were doing, every time they do one campaign or the other. Our national television is dead. The information agencies are not using the portals available to reorientate people. You're supposed to have programs or information that plays for 30 seconds across all platforms at specific times during the day to reorientate your people. During MAMSA back in the day, that was what was done during IBB's regime. Information was disseminated at specific times of the day. If you go to some African countries, whenever they want to take the mindset of the people, they just create a spool of information that constantly comes into. Advert agencies are doing this, but they are doing it for products that people must buy. Why can't the government empower these advertising agencies? Give them project, not just during election that you must just come people campaign, just flood everywhere. After election, boom, those spaces are left blank for agencies to go and hustle. No. Government has grants and they have free money that they can use for these things. But because the heads of the agencies don't know what to do with the funds, they are buying houses and cars. These are the funds you need to inform the public and reorientate them. Imagine every day you wake up, you put on your radio, you get information. Nobody has information about how Muritala Muhammad was killed. They don't have the toe into. If you call a young person now that, do you know about Muritala Muhammad?
You mean the airport?
That's MM1 now. Yeah. No, do you know about his story? No. There's no across the border, across platforms, information like that about the history of this country. There's no information on how people must clean their, there used to be sanitation and sanitation officers coming unawares to your neighborhood to check everybody and then arrest people and make sure all these things are dead because government parastatals and agencies are just collecting the money and they're not using it. One woman collected so much money, she was confused, she didn't know what to do with money until they caught her. A woman, head of an agency. So if people like this are not conscious of their responsibility, then it befalls on us, the first foundation, to take charge because they are government people, they don't care. But you must care. I care for my children because when I take care of my children, in future, they will take care of me. So a lot of parents are not seeing that right now. And that's why you'll be hearing cases of when one boy beat his father. Yes, he will beat you because you didn't beat him at the right time. Don't spare the rod. If society had not spared the rod, we would not be in some of these mess because some of those children that were not corrected are the politicians today. Now, the ones that are going to come worse are already doing zanku, shaku shaku, right before our eyes, and we're not correcting them. The next ones that will come after them will be worse again because they will not want to listen to these ones that are not listening to us because they'll be telling them, Shebi, you were not listening to those ones. How do you expect us to listen to you? So it's a cycle. So we need to go back to the first foundation, family, correct the things that have been done wrong.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
We really appreciate your time coming to Sahara TV.
Thank you.